Well, I've got a good cold open, Michael.
Yes.
It's been the talk of town the last few days.
Yep.
The new Gillette advert.
Oh, yeah, of course. So basically, we're against it, aren't we?
Yeah. Like the way it just says to men, hey, don't be dickheads.
Yeah.
It's very offensive to me.
Well, what I think is most offensive about it is the fact that it suggests that men have the capacity for moral self-improvement. And we all know that the men are garbage. The time when they said that, men shouldn't harass women, that was an attack on masculinity. Because masculinity is all about harassing women.
It's all about, showing how much of a crap person you can be.
Yeah.
And therefore...
attacking crap people.
Yeah, well, if you take, that away from us, then what are we?
Yeah, that's true. Nothing.
Nothing.
Less than nothing.
We might as well just not exist.
Might as well just be women.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's not go that far.
I also liked, just as a side extra thing before we go into the thingy, there's a whole thing about how most of the good guys shown were black, while most of the bad guys shown were white. And I was on Reddit, and I was literally like Nazi propaganda. Like, there was somebody who posted a video by a channel called European Unity, and it was explaining cultural Marxism and how cultural Marxism is this conspiracy to destroy white Western values and things like that. And everyone was like upvoting it, like, yeah, great, wonderful. Anyway, okay.
God, it's wonderful. It's just incredible, Michael.
Yes.
It's like I watched, people were very upset about that advert, and so I was like, okay, I'll give it a watch. Let's see what the issue is. And I couldn't believe how it was just like, hey guys, don't be a piece of shit. And suddenly that is an attack on masculinity. And if that is the case, then that's not good for masculinity, I'd say.
Yeah, it is. It's a shame for masculinity, but anyway, on with the review.
On with the review, yes.
Back up, chump, Biggie Smalls rips it quick and kicks it quick. You know how black niggas get. With the hoods for tees, with the boots with trees. Whipping trees, making crazy G's. Hitting buckshots at niggas that open spots on the avenue. Take my loot and I'm bagging. Pippin' hoes that drive Volvos and rodeos. Flash the roll, make a wreck in they pantyhose. Damn, a nigga style is unorthodox. Grip the Glock when I walk down the crowded block. Just in case a nigga wanna act out, I just black out and blow the motherfucking back out. That's a real nigga for you.
Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out relatively recently at cinema and see if they hold up on a second watch. This week, we're looking at Call Me By Your Name. And Luke, I'm your co-host. No, I'm not your co-host.
You really stuck yourself, haven't you, man?
Yeah, I'm your host, Michael, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Luke. And Luke, do you think that, I say joined, with too much of a two-syllable nature?
Perhaps.
Because some people pronounce it like joined, so I'm joined by, whereas I kind of like to say joined. But then the other thing is I do say medieval, and the other one I do is miniature.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's something to think about.
Why don't you tell us a thing or two about Call Me By Your Name?
Sure thing, Michael. So,
what we could do, if we were being really clear, is we could call each other by each other's names. So Michael, tell us about Call Me By Your Name.
Okay, I'd be down with that, but the fact is you're just so bad with names that I don't think we should go with it.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, so...
I can use it as an excuse, though, if I am bad at names at any point during this film.
Well,
so that's good.
You forget my name and call yourself... Yeah, okay.
If I call you Michael,
Okay, so anyway, Call Me By Your Name, or in Italian, Chiamani col tuo nome. It's a 2017 coming-of-age romantic drama film directed by Luca Guadagnino and with a screenplay by James Ivory based on Andre Asimon's 2007 novel of the same name. By the way, it is the final installment in Guadagnino's thematic Desire trilogy after his 2009 film I Am Love and his 2015 film
A Bigger Splash.
A Bigger Splash. Wow, it's like I'm reading it off Wikipedia, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know when I was going to bring this up, but I might as well bring it up now. I've seen A Bigger Splash,
okay,
and therefore I have that as a frame of reference, but I haven't seen I Am Love. And annoyingly, I was actually reading a little bit of a review about this film. They mentioned the director, and they said that I Am Love is probably his best film. So I haven't seen his best film, apparently.
Well, that's a shame. Okay.
Yeah, a shame.
So yeah, the screenplay, as I said, by James Ivory, stars Armie Hammer, Timothy Chalamet, Michael Stuhlbarg, Amira Cesar, Esther Garel, Victoria Dubois. I hope I pronounced all those correctly. It was released. Oh my god, there's so many releases. Let's go for the 27th of November, 2017 in the United States. But it was premiered all the way in January 2017. So wow, it came out literally 11 months after it first premiered. Jesus, they really wanted that Oscar, didn't they?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a joint venture between Italy, the United States, Brazil, and France. And Michael, do you want to have a go at the budget?
Cheap. Very cheap. I mean, staggeringly cheap. Impossibly cheap. I think that, like 3 million? 4 million? Something like that. Not over 10 million.
3.5, Michael.
Yeah, great.
That's a very good guess. Well done. Give yourself a pat on the back for that.
Yeah.
Okay, and now the box office. How much did it make?
I'm going to go for... again, I don't think it made that much. So maybe... Not over 100 million. Probably, I want to go for just 50 million. That seems reasonable.
Not too far away. 41.9.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you went too far away. So, Michael, did you like Call Me By Your Name?
You know what? I mean, I think this film was very well made. I don't think it quite grabbed me in the way that it could have, or in the way that lots of these
Oliver grabs Elio.
Yeah, I was thinking about making that, grabs me like a big, strong, muscly man. But yeah, I mean, obviously this was an Oscar film, and like a lot of the Oscar films we've reviewed, it's very competently made. But it didn't quite grab me, personally.
I should mention, by the way, that we are reviewing this movie because...
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. I looked up what it won in because I wanted to pay special attention to it. You know, like the areas where it allegedly did really well. I say allegedly. Like it didn't do well. I don't know, yeah. I mean, I just don't want to spoil whether or not we think it did well.
Okay, yeah, so it won Best Adapted Screenplay.
Yes.
That was what it won. It was also nominated for Best Picture. Obviously, it didn't win that. That was Shape of Water. Also, Timothée Chalamet was nominated for Best Actor. He didn't win that. And it also was nominated for Best Original Song, which was Mystery of Love by Sufjan Stevens. And yeah, it didn't win that either. So, won 1 out of 4 at the Academy Awards.
Yeah, but it was nominated for 4 out of, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be nominated for visual effects. Actually, maybe it would be, and we'll get onto that later. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll just mention the plot. So it's quite simple. Set in northern Italy in 1983, Call Me By Your Name chronicles a romantic relationship between 17-year-old Elio Perlman, played by Timothée Chalamet, and his professor's father's 24-year-old graduate student assistant, Oliver, which is played by Armie Hammer. So, yeah, it's just a romantic relationship between two males, which obviously didn't generate...
nothing wrong with.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, and didn't generate any controversy.
To be honest, okay, here's the thing about it not generating any controversy. I mean, I can't imagine the kind of people who would complain about that are the kind of people who watch Oscar-nominated films. Maybe I'm lying.
Well, that's the thing, Michael. There was a... I'll mention another movie. I'll mention it now. I was going to mention it later as well. But Brokeback Mountain, when that came out, obviously it was nominated for Best Picture back in 2005, I want to say. That got a lot of pushback. It just shows how far we've come. It really does. Like, nobody gives a shit about this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, back in Bush era America, it was like the kind of crazies were trying to be part of the mainstream. But in Trump's America, they're just actively, reveling in not being part of the mainstream, which means they just don't complain about this kind of stuff. Yeah,
good point. Anyway, on with nitpicks.
Oh, sorry, you haven't said whether or not you liked it, by the way.
Oh, no, I didn't like it, no.
Yeah, you hated it.
Yeah, I'm going to probably maybe be more firm than you with this. I'm not sure.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so nitpicks, how many have you got?
I got 1.
I've got 1 as well. I hope it's not the same one.
No, sorry, I've actually got 2.
Okay, you go. Oh, no, I'll go first. Second one.
Yeah.
So mine was just the intros. It was so long, and I know they're trying to get the this is an old timey movie feel, it's like a classic movie. So the intro is really long, but come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
So you're saying it's a classic 45 seconds of credits?
No,
am I confusing? What do you mean intro?
So when they're saying it goes on for about 2 minutes when they're saying, or on the screen you get like all the people who are in the movie next to like statues.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I get it. So yeah, you meant like the credits.
Yeah, the credits. Yes.
The post. What's it called? What's it called when Quentin Tarantino loves doing that?
Yeah, because he loves his old timey movies as well.
Yeah. See, I must admit, like what I kind of did is I was watching it and the credits came on, and then I maybe got like a message or something, and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to quickly click off and respond to that message. So I was kind of responding to a message while the credits were playing. Got to be honest with you, Luke.
Do you know who also loves to do that?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, he likes to message people during the long credits.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, of course.
You got me.
He also likes to produce, direct, write, and star in his films.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, so my two nitpicks. One of them's like one of those ones that's more of an observation. It's what is it with these Oscar films and linguistics? Obviously, last year there was Arrival, and I was saying how linguistics is a bit of an amateur area of study for me. I find it quite interesting. And in Arrival, there was all this talk about linguistics, and then in this, suddenly they're all like, so where did this word come from? And Army Hammer's like, it probably came from the Byzantiums and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, why is it that all these Oscar people just love their linguistics?
well, that was
They're
a
all
test.
just massive etymology nerds.
He was being tested. He was being tested, and he got the right answer. Yeah, that's why the professor went flying colours. So yeah, he was trying to see if he was smart or not. And he
well,
is
to be honest, I think there's more to being smart than linguistics.
oh wow.
Anyway, so the other one is this. Okay, spontaneous nosebleeds are very minor. So basically, Emilio gets a. he's only the main character, Luke. Come on.
You
Emilio
could have
gets
pulled that off if you didn't sound so questionable. If you just went Emilio. But no, it's
Yeah.
Elio.
Elio. Okay. So Elio gets a nosebleed, and everyone's like, I don't know, like it seems to cut forward in time, and he's like sat on the sofa or whatever, the couch with like something holding his nose, like, oh, I've got a nosebleed. And I was thinking, like, I've had spontaneous nosebleeds, before. Like not that often because I'm not, a cocaine addict, but every now and then I'll, probably if I've got like an itch, I'll rub my nose, give it a good rub, and suddenly I'll go to my finger and I'll see some blood, and I'll go, and then I, walk out the room, get some tissue paper, wait until the bleeding stopped, boom. Don't make a big deal about it.
Yeah, as someone who is a cocaine
What is this guy?
addict,
Is he a hemophiliac? Yeah, you are. Yes.
as someone who is a cocaine addict, I can tell you that that nosebleed was well, above what a regular nosebleed was.
Wow.
I can vouch for you there.
So yeah. Anyway, so the important thing is that what do we do next? Plot? Do we do plot? You haven't actually really. Have you actually explained? You have to explain the plot, haven't you?
Yeah, I have explained the plot. Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, what I said, Luke, which I think is a good thing to start off with, is you were saying, oh yeah, have you got the plot written down? And I said, no, I've written down romance because let's be honest, Luke. There isn't really a plot to this film.
There isn't really a plot. Don't you think we should talk about that first?
Yes. So okay, well, I'll let you start off with the fact there's no plot. I mean, start talking about that.
So, as you have said, Michael, this movie doesn't really have a plot. And because of that, the first half of this movie is really fucking boring.
Yeah.
Like, tremendously boring. And the rest of it, in the second half, it gets better. It does get better. But the problem throughout the whole movie, especially in the first part, because there's nothing going on, is that there's no conflict. Like, I was expecting some drama. Like, it's a movie about two men who are gay having a relationship.
They have the big gay.
Yeah, in Italy, in the 1980s, and Italy is, of course, an extremely religious,
I thought he was going to get AIDS, Luke. I'm just going to come out and say it right now. When he got that nosebleed, I was like, is getting a nosebleed a symptom of getting AIDS? Because I was like, it's set in the 1980s. Why would it be set in the 1980s if he's not going to get, the big AIDS?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wasn't thinking AIDS, but I was thinking there would be some conflict. Like, Italy is an anti-gay country. I think even today it is, and it's in a decade in the 1980s when homosexuality was frowned upon, like, across the world, or worse, obviously, and still today worse, but particularly in the Western world, like. In the 1980s, if you're gay, it's not going to be an easy time for you. So surely I was thinking, like, before I watched this movie, okay, because I knew what it was going to be about, there'd be some people who are against this relationship, and that's where the drama would emanate from in this movie. maybe it's his parents who aren't happy with his relationship and are angry at Oliver for abusing their trust or something like that. Maybe it's people around the town or Elio's friends who aren't happy. But like, there's no conflict. There's not even like any AIDS either.
Well,
like something that doesn't involve other characters.
But what about that time when he stops talking to that girl and she shows up and he's like, hey, I'm not gonna, sorry for not talking to you, and she's like, I'm not your girl anymore. And he shrugs and she goes, oh darn.
Yeah, and she just walks off. That's
darn
it.
That.
That's it. Like,
I have like, okay, I'll let you.
Oh yeah, okay. So I was just gonna say, like, his mum and dad. I was thinking, or maybe his mum and dad, because like if you invite like a 24-year-old and he starts having sex with your 17-year-old son, like maybe they'd be pretty pissed off at that. But they're not only angry, but they're like happy with it because like his dad says something about him having a similar experience. Like I looked at the reviews in Wikipedia.
They're a regular Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. David Morgan of CBS found Stuhlbarg's character, which is the dad, the most forward-thinking parent in movie history. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. Like, it just shows, like, there's absolutely no, like, issues with him having this relationship, which I thought was, like, mainly, that's where the conflict comes in these type of romantic homosexual movies. Like, that's where that's what it's meant to.
Yeah,
that's what's meant to happen. That's what exactly. Well, that's the thing. That's what they're for. So, like, you could argue that it's just a beautiful love story. Like, it doesn't need to be pigeonholed into like the Brokeback Mountain thing. So obviously, I said I was going to compare it to another movie. And that movie would be Brokeback Mountain. Like, in Brokeback Mountain, similarly to this movie, it's about two gay men falling in love. But the issue is, in that movie, society's against it. Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal, they want to be together, but they aren't allowed to. That's where the tension and the drama comes from. And so, like, in this movie, I was expecting something similar, but like, if it went down the Brokeback Mountain, like, path, then there's, like, you could say, oh, that's, that it should be, gay romance movies should be more than that. They should just be normal. But the problem is, then they are incredibly boring.
Yeah. So, okay, here's the thing, Luke. I guess I've kind of almost got, like, 4 things to say in my head. So, okay, number 1. On the subject of, like, Italy being very conservative, there's a bit where they go to see this woman who never appears again, but she's got a picture of Mussolini, like, hanging up in her porch, and he kind of says, like, oh, Il Duce, which obviously is what they call Mussolini. That's the only reason I knew it was Mussolini.
Okay.
But then it was like, yeah, Italy, man. It was going on a little hike, and it's like, Italy, man. Italy in there. Because she's like an old woman, like, oh, Italy and their love for fascism.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, okay, but, I mean, clearly they're not, it's not that fascist if you can just go about banging each other all the time. Well, you call that fascism?
Yeah. That's the thing, like, it's in Italy. I was like, okay, yeah, there's got to be some, there's got to be some pushback to this relationship. But, yeah, there wasn't. It was like...
I'd like... Oh, sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say, I'd like if this film was... Because obviously, as you know, Luke, there were dictatorships in Europe not that long ago. Like, Salazar in Portugal and Franco in Spain. And I think it would have been quite cool if this film, obviously, it was set in Italy, but if it was set in the 1970s in Spain or Portugal, that would be pretty cool, because then it would be in a fascist society. That's what I was going to say. So continue your thought.
Well, yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, it's kind of like present day, I don't know, Brighton. Like, the way they can just, like, hang around together and have sex with each other. And obviously that's the way you'd want it to be, but it's like, it's Italy in the 1980s, it's not the most progressive place on earth. Like, maybe... they have some issues with their relationship, and that's where, we get some drama.
Yes.
I don't know if you think I'm saying, like, hey, that's what gay romantic movies should be about. They should just be about that. Like, people trying to have a gay relationship but being unable to because of society, like in Brokeback Mountain. Or you're like, hey, guess what? This movie's fine, because we shouldn't pigeonhole gay romantic movies into just being about, like, oh, these two people can't love each other because of society.
Well, those were going to be my points 2 through to 4.
Yes.
So first of all, it should be noted that, like you've kind of said several times now, one of the big things everyone's saying about this film that I've kind of seen is like I guess defense of this film, like a preemptive defense of this film, is people saying what's good about this film is that, it's not a film where it's about the struggles of being gay and being accepted as being gay and things like that. And I guess here's my kind of thoughts. First of all, I want to compare this film to another gay film, which is Moonlight. See, in Moonlight, the fact that the characters are gay is obviously like relevant, but it's not like the main thrust of the story arc. It's not like anyone ever has a scene where it's like, hey, you guys, it's not like Brokeback Mountain. It's not like the whole point of the film is that the characters are gay. Obviously, the fact that he's gay is relevant, as it is to like anyone who's, just because of the nature of society. But like, there's all sorts of other things going on, like his relationship to poverty and race, and also the kind of complexities of his interpersonal relationship with his mother and this drug dealer guy. There's like all sorts of things going on in Moonlight. So
yeah.
And I guess when I actually come down to placing this film, the first thing that needs to be said is that this film, in my opinion, is a lot worse than Moonlight, because, Moonlight wasn't just, oh, they're gay, how are they going to manage being gay? It was like all sorts of other things going on. So that's the first thing. Oh, so that's the third thing, really. And then the final other thing is, obviously, you kind of have to compare this to straight rom-coms. And the thing I was kind of thinking during this film is, if being gay was completely accepted in our contemporary society, then you couldn't really have a film like this, because the only way in which this film is interesting is because they are gay.
Exactly.
And it's the prospect that something could happen because of that, or the prospect that, because for example, Michael Stuhlbarg, who of course by the way is the main actor in A Serious Man, gives a, I would say, very good speech at the end, where he kind of says, you don't be true to who you are. It's a very loving speech, things like that. The thing is, the only reason that speech exists is because the character is gay.
Yes.
And you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't have a dad saying to his son, "It's okay if you like women." So the thing is, like, and that's one of the best things in the film. I mean, there are a few good like emotional moments, and that was one of the best emotional moments. And the emotional moment only worked because being gay is a kind of thing that a lot of people are uncomfortable with. So the fact that the character is okay with it kind of makes him emotionally or like quite sympathetic, because he cares about his son's feelings.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, you said it very well, the only thing that makes this movie interesting is the fact that the characters are gay. But the thing is, this movie would have worked if it was two straight people, and that is actually an indictment on this movie. Like, you'd have to change like a couple of things. The character that Timothée Chalamet, imagine Timothée Chalamet is a girl, for instance, so he, or she in this instance, would, have a boyfriend, and what was that girl called that he had sex with?
I think it was like Marzia?
Marzia, yeah, so that would be Marcus. So you see, you change the character. But, and I think it would work, because it was just about two people falling in love, and it wasn't, like, the fact that they were gay, it didn't really matter at all. And obviously the father gave the speech at the end, and there was a couple of times when they were hanging out in Italy where they had to, make sure they weren't being watched by anybody. But you could have had this movie with two straight people, and I think that is an indictment. And would that movie have received critical acclaim?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that I think needs to point out, because you said this movie would work if it was straight people. I want to clarify: if this film was straight people, it would be generally considered probably quite boring.
Yeah, it would be boring.
So, yeah.
It would be like
exactly.
62% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, like, people, there is a certain subset of people who just really like films about nothing, and a lot of the time films that aren't really about anything will receive critical praise no matter what. Having said that, this film was obviously like helped by the sexuality aspect.
Yes.
And I mean, definitely the first, up until, I guess, maybe the point where he confesses his feelings to Oliver, and that happens almost halfway through.
Yes.
Up until that point, there's not much to be said in terms of plot, basically.
No.
And then even after that, it's a slow burner. I think.
At least
I'll let you say something. Yeah. I was going to say I think the film got the emotional weight of the film was very good towards the end.
Yes.
I've seen some people say they were crying at the end. I don't know, what is it? Everyone's crying all the time. People crying at the end of Coco. People just crying all the time.
Coco was much more emotional than this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Coco was. But yeah, I mean, it was. You did kind of it was kind of better in a way when they actually did embrace, and that's kind of another irony in a way, because everyone's saying, gay films don't have to be about gay characters being in the shadows, gay characters being discreet, things like that.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that the film was actually better when they weren't being discreet. You know, the second half of the film, where they're actually, you know, doing sensual, emotionally and physically intimate things together, is better than the first half.
Well, that's just because nothing happens in the first half, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I'm saying like, so basically, I'm saying like, it's not as if like the complaint is. I mean, in some sense, the complaint is that, you know, there's no real conflict from it. But in some sense, you know, just seeing two people be in love has its merits.
Yeah.
And I think you can kind of see that in the later half of the film. I think what I could kind of see working is if you didn't necessarily have a sort of conflict exactly, but you had, you didn't have like an antagonistic force, but you had problems that the characters themselves have. Like, for example, in La La Land, where, you know, the characters themselves have their own insecurities and things like that and stuff like that. So that's just an example of it. And obviously there's loads of romantic comedies where the characters have their own insecurities, and you don't need some big evil meanie there going, I hate your relationship, you know, sometimes. But the thing is, yeah, there wasn't even that much of a problem. I mean, one of the scenes that I really liked in the film, I'm kind of using like all the examples of the bits that I did like to show the problem with the fact that these weren't that common, is I like the bit where they're kind of being cute together, having some fun, some good old fashioned gay fun, and then Elio, it really throws me off he's not called Emilio, because Emilio just seems like, you know, I'm familiar with that name. I'm not familiar with Elio. But yeah, Elio kind of like just starts crying, you know, because it's when he, okay, I mean, I don't know, I know you're going to mention this at some point, but it's when
he fucks the peach.
Yeah, so obviously, what's his name? Oliver goes to eat the peach, which, you know,
It's disgusting.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Luke.
No, I know why. Like, it's like he's like, hey, don't. Oh, it's cute that he's saying, oh, it's cute that you did that. Look, it's just a bit of fun, you know. You don't need to be upset with yourself or whatever. Like, that's how he's trying to play it. So yeah, it's a nice moment.
Yeah, and then obviously he cries, and it kind of shows that he has these insecurities, and that's like entertaining, and I like that. Yeah, the problem is that like I can easily point to every single moment in this film which I felt held a good amount of emotional resonance. The problem is that I'm pointing to those moments and they're very isolated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the what's it called? That rule where you can point something out, and it's like that proves.
Yeah. So it's the exception that proves the rule.
Exactly, the exception that proves the rule. Yeah, that's what I mean. So you can point to that scene, and it sticks out in your head because it's like, oh, that was the one scene where I was like, oh, this is actually good, or this was actually interesting, and the rest of the scenes are just like filler almost. I do think like. Here's the thing, obviously we're reviewing it because it won an Oscar, and if we just reviewed this movie just for another reason, just like randomly sat down and watch it, like, I wouldn't be like this, I guess, down on this
critical?
movie. Yeah, critical. Like, exactly. I would be like, hey, you know what, it's a nice romantic movie featuring two gay people, it's fine, but the fact that it got 95% on Rotten Tomatoes and won an Oscar, I was coming in thinking like, okay, this movie's going to be pretty good. And it just wasn't. So I'm like being critical of it because I'm like, you know what, like, you know, you can have a movie which is just a normal romantic movie with there's no antagonistic force and it features two gay characters. That's fine. But if you're gonna go, like, if it's gonna be a really good movie, it's got to be something like similar to Brokeback Mountain or Philadelphia. Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
Yeah, Philadelphia, where Tom Hanks has got AIDS, you know, because he's gay, and so like something like that. But there's nothing like that. And so I'm just sitting here watching this movie thinking, really, is this all this movie has to offer? Just a mindless, well, not mindless, I guess, but just, you know, a generic love story between two people, you know, and they happen to be gay, but like there's nothing interesting apart from that. And then I'm just sat here like thinking, wow, I can't believe this. It's got so many good reviews. I
think so. Some other things to say. I think like some people will maybe say like, oh, you know, it's one of those artsy fartsy films where it's all very you know, avant-garde. It doesn't embrace the conventions of a traditional plot and things like that. But the thing is, okay, I think we're both somewhat I don't know what the word is, but like somewhat cynical when it comes to these films, or at least I am. I can be cynical when it comes to films which I know are very arty. I think, okay, is this actually going to be entertaining, or is it just going to be a bunch of, you know, very pretentious people jerking off into peaches? But the thing is, like, every other film we've done pretty much has won me over in that regard. Like, you know, Moonlight, it could have been, you know, very, very pretentious with all of its fancy zooms ins and funky music going on. So like a lot of films that I watch, even though I can be quite cynical about very overly arty films, they win me over. And I think the problem is, like with this film, yes, I did go into it maybe with not necessarily cynical, but I did go into it thinking, okay, it's probably going to be a good film, but it's probably going to be one of those films. It's not going to be like action. No, sorry, it's not going to be like Iron Man or
it's not going to be like Iron Man.
Yeah, it's not going to be like a Marvel film or a Star Wars film. It's going to be entertaining in a different sense.
Yes.
I went into it with that attitude, and it was just, yeah. I mean, there were some elements of it that was entertaining. Overall, when you actually think, oh, I just spent 2 hours and 12 minutes doing that, you have to conclude it wasn't massively entertaining.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I mean, I found this on Wikipedia. You might find it interesting. When it screened at the Alice Tully Hall as part of the New York Film Festival, it received a 10-minute ovation, the longest in the festival's history.
Okay.
Like, that's the thing. Like, it's obviously because it's 2 gay characters, and I'm sorry. Like, obviously, maybe people think that's because that's good. It's like powerful, and it's good that we see this relationship in a movie, and that movie is celebrated, of course. But a 10-minute ovation, really?
Yeah.
It's like if you gave a 10-minute ovation after Coming to America was released in '88. It's like, oh, look at this. It's a normal family comedy featuring an all-black cast. Wow, what progress. It's like, okay, yes, but you don't give it like a 10-minute ovation. It's like, what did I give Coming into America? Like 6 out of 10? So yeah, you see the point I'm trying to make.
Yes. So... Well, yes, basically, it's kind of like people... One wonders exactly... I mean, this was one of those films, I'll admit, where I finished it and I thought to myself, okay, I do need to watch some reviews, because sometimes I like to not watch any reviews at all, not really think about it.
Yeah.
But I felt the need to watch some reviews just to kind of understand, and pretty much, I guess the thing is, like, a lot of what people were saying, I agreed, because pretty much every single review on this film that I saw was saying, oh yeah, it's very slow, it's not got much going on. But it has some very, intense emotional moments, things like that.
Some touching moments, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But and like I say, I mean, the thing is, this film, it's not as if it's a bad film. I mean, no. It's just
standard.
Yeah, and you think about, there's so many things out there to adapt, Luke. One wonders whether or not this was truly I wonder what else. I'm going to look up, best. I think it's worth looking at what else was nominated, which we should probably do every single time.
Yeah, we probably should do that. I'll just say though, while you do that, like, the acting in this movie is great. The performances are wonderful.
Yeah, and I was actually going to say, if I was going to give this anything, I'd probably give it to I've forgotten his name, the actor who plays the younger guy.
Oh, Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, it's a weird name.
Instead, Gary Oldman won it for dressing up in a fat suit and pretending to be Winston Churchill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, anyway, I was just going to say, the performances are wonderful. The setting in Italy, obviously, it's beautiful, and the cinematography is amazing. Yeah. And it really captures, like, the world that these characters are living in. It feels so realistic and authentic. But and that's all great, and that certainly ups my rating of the movie. The problem is, there's just no plot. There's something I need in a movie. And, I'm just going to look at it just without the context of the characters being gay. And, I think it's fair to take that out, because
yes,
it's a movie which you need to just, like I said, hey, would this work if it's 2 straight characters? Yes, it would work. So it doesn't actually really matter that these 2 characters are gay. And
yes,
I don't know if you'd agree. It doesn't really matter that they're gay.
Yeah, basically. And the fact is that obviously, so the film itself, I mean, there are some elements in which it does matter that they're gay. The thing is that if the characters were straight, I suppose this film would be even more boring, because, you probably wouldn't have a scene where, there are several examples of where the film would be even more boring if the characters were straight. Like, for example, like I already mentioned, the scene of Michael Stuhlbarg giving that speech about, But yes, in terms of like the main thrust of the narrative, it's obviously not affected by the fact they're gay, which isn't bad in itself. The problem is that, what you'd have to kind of look at is for example, here's an example. If you took, I guess, for example, La La Land would work, but if you took any very good romantic comedy, and La La Land, I guess I'll stick to, because it is actually my top film of all time, let's not forget.
Oh, wow.
So far. But or top film of the films we've reviewed. So La La Land, it's about somebody wants to be an actor, Another person wants to be a musician. They both have their own passions. They struggle over the fact they might not be good enough, over the fact they might not be able to achieve their ambitions. You could pretty much, make those characters the same gender. Make those characters a gay couple. One of the gay men wants to be an actor, one of the gay men wants to be a singer, and that would be a really good film. And it would be a film where obviously the fact that they're gay didn't matter. But the thing is, it would be, like I say, the fact that they're gay literally wouldn't matter. It wouldn't affect the quality of the film, either positively or negatively. The problem with this film is, while them being gay doesn't affect the quality of the film negatively, and it does slightly affect the quality of the film positively, it's like, you can't really say, oh, well, sometimes gay characters, or, we need a gay rom-com where the fact that they're gay isn't used to create drama. And then at the same time, it's like, well, hold on a minute, if the characters weren't gay, this film would literally have nothing to offer.
Exactly. Like, if it doesn't matter that these characters are gay, therefore it's just like a standard romantic movie. And
therefore we can judge it by the standards of a standard romantic movie.
Yeah, and therefore it shouldn't be like as heralded and as praised as it has been.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the reality. And, it's, like I said, it's very well made. You could say, like, it's got some touching moments, but at the end of the day, man, like, it's a disappointment. It's a disappointment. And it's nice. That's the best thing I can say about it. It's a nice movie, and I'm sure if you're gay, like, obviously we're not gay, so maybe we can't appreciate it as someone who's gay is. Like, they can say, "Wow, you know what? I really like this movie because it doesn't use the character's sexuality as something to as a plot device or to create tension or whatever." And so I really like that, because as someone who is gay, it means that I can watch two people have a relationship which I've had a relationship like that, or I want to, and I can just enjoy the movie like a straight person would enjoy a beautiful straight romantic movie. But like just evaluating it, taking that context out, like we are doing, then it's nothing special.
And the other thing is, like, obviously a straight person isn't going to enjoy a film because the characters are straight. Whereas a gay person would be more likely to enjoy a film because the characters are gay, and that makes sense
because the lack of representation.
So obviously you can understand why. But having said that, if the only if you're enjoying a film because the characters are gay, then obviously if somebody's not gay, then they're just going to think, oh, okay.
You don't get out of it maybe what those people in the New York Film Festival were getting out of it when they gave it a 10-minute standing ovation.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's really good if you see it in the cinema. Who knows? I don't know if this film festival is counted as a cinema, but whatever. Maybe if you're in a film festival, you give it a standing ovation. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think.
When you're looking up something, adapted screenplays,
I was looking up. Yeah, I think we'll talk about it probably later. I was getting it up just because, but I thought it would probably be a good thing to conclude on. And I guess this isn't really to do with the plot, but it should be said, obviously, on a technical level, and this does deserve some statement, just because we're not discounting this. On a technical level, this film is really, really good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's, I'd say, pretty much. So obviously the acting's really good, as we already said, by pretty much everyone. I mean, I say pretty much everyone. I'm not meaning to exclude anyone specifically. I'm just saying. And then the music, I thought the soundtrack was pretty good. And then, of course, the other thing, and the thing that a lot of people do like about this, is the cinematography. A lot of people have said this film is a very pretty,
it's amazing
looking film, and I agree. So it's really nice looking, and the thing is, so basically the problem with this film is that you get all the technical stuff, you say that's really good. You get all of the good emotional scenes, you say, okay, they're really good. The thing is, you could take all of that stuff and add it into a film that has more going on, and you'd have a better film. And obviously, when there are some films that stand pretty much entirely on the fact that they've got a lot going on. For example, most mainstream blockbusters, they're not, the acting doesn't really matter that much. The cinematography doesn't really matter that much. What matters is, are the Avengers going to defeat Thanos? And that's because they've got a lot going on. So there are some films that stand entirely on the fact they've got a lot going on. And I'd say a film that has, pretty much nothing going on can only get so far.
Yes, it can, especially for me. Like, I know some people may like just movies like this, which really aren't about a lot. And like I said before, they're just nice. But for me, I need a plot, like I need a narrative, like thrust, and I need something to happen. Otherwise, I'm just really bored. And that was especially the case in the first hour. And maybe, it's different for some people, but not for me.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the most important thing about a movie to me, like the actual plot. And so if it doesn't nail that, or it doesn't even have a plot like this movie, then I just can't enjoy it that much.
Yeah, basically. I mean, like I say, I mean, I keep the only thing I can keep going back to when I think about the aspect I did enjoy is, you know, the very few things I did enjoy. But like you say, it's exception the exception that proves the rule.
Yes,
And again, you know, there have been a lot of other really good films that have done similar things, but without any of the with more going on.
Yeah.
So
there you go. I think we covered that.
Yeah.
Spent quite a bit of time on that, actually. Unless you want to say something else.
I was just going to say, I thought. Well, first of all, it's worth noting that I didn't know that this guy was going to have sex with a peach. But I do want to say one thing. It's another classic example. I feel like we did this with Coco too, of me noticing like a little shot and being like, "Why is that shot there?" And it was when he went to like it held on him grabbing the peach. And at first, I was thinking like, okay, it's like a forbidden fruit thing, which of course doesn't really work because this film does not establish within the narrative that there is any kind of forbidden fruit aspect to this, since everyone's basically okay with it. But whatever.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, oh, it's a forbidden fruit thing. And obviously, I don't know if that. I mean, it seems to me like it was supposed to be a forbidden fruit because it looked very forbidden fruity the way he reached out and grabbed it. But obviously, I mean, I have no problem with it's the thing is you can't help but think about American Pie.
I know. I was going to say it's in a when I was explaining Elio's character, one of the characters, I was going to say in a tribute to American Pie, he has sex with a peach. Or maybe because this happened in '83. Like the guy in American Pie, I forget his name. Got the idea of him.
Yeah, that could be. And also that guy, I felt like the guy in American Pie looked kind of like he could be Italian, so...
well, Elio is American, so when he goes back to America, maybe they have a conversation. You know?
Yeah. And it's like, it must just be things that begin with P.
Yeah.
I, pussy.
Yeah.
Just kidding, I'm gay. That's what he said.
We already said we're not,
so... basically, regarding the plot, like I say, most of this has just been talking about the fact there is no plot. There's a lot of things that happen, but pretty much what you've got is the best thing that can be said about this film is that it's a bunch of really well, kind of really believable characters having a very believable romance in very pretty and expertly presented scenery and sets and things like that.
Yeah, okay. I agree with like 95% of that. Just a quick quibble. Like, is the dad believable?
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Because, I told you that quote before. He's the most, what was it? He is the most forward-thinking parent in movie history. And I would have to agree with that.
I think, okay, so here's the thing. There's kind of two aspects to it. There's the age difference, and there's the gayness. So I think, obviously, that there were people in the 80s who were okay with people being gay.
Yeah,
so
obviously.
It's not unbelievable that somebody would be okay with, and it should be noted, of course, is this is a Jewish family, and in case you couldn't tell, Luke, in case the Jewishness wasn't obvious enough with.
Do you have a problem with that, Michael?
I'm gonna
get
what, Luke? I don't have a problem with Jews. I just wish that they wouldn't shove it in my face. If they want to be, if two guys want to be Jewish together, I have no problem with that. Just don't expose my kids to it.
Don't just shove it down my throat. Don't shove that yarmulke down my throat.
If there's a Jewish pride parade, shouldn't there be a Gentile pride parade?
Yes.
Shouldn't there be an Aryan pride parade? No, but the thing is, okay, so they're Jewish, and obviously Jewish people, in some contexts, especially in America, I think, are generally a lot more liberal than the average people. I don't know why. Obviously, in Israel, it's all flipped around. Fucking mental in Israel. So actually, you know what? Tel Aviv is consistently voted the most gay-friendly city on the planet. So
what? Even ahead of Brighton?
Yeah. Well, also ahead of San Francisco. San Francisco.
San Francisco. Yeah.
But yeah, it's voted ahead of San Francisco. It's so.
What
I think the
gay
thing about
cities are there? Like Brighton, San Francisco, Tel Aviv, obviously. Is there any other ones that are known for being?
Well, like the thing is, you've got like the generally cosmopolitan ones like New York, obviously.
Yeah,
and that's
just not known for that, is it?
Yeah. So yeah, but and obviously, let's be honest, you're not going to find any gay cities outside of those areas, because everywhere else,
outside the Western world.
Yeah, I don't think they've got any gay cities in Brazil nowadays.
Certainly not recently.
Yes, but yeah, basically, so obviously it's more progressive. I think the main thing is like the kid's 17, but the thing is, you've got to realize, like, Italians is what I meant to say. Italians, they've got some weird thing going on. Like their age of consent in Italy is like 13.
Is it? I thought it was 14.
Also, remember that I feel like Bernie Sanders. No, maybe he did. Maybe I'm getting confused. But
What?
I do feel like I felt like Bernie Sanders one time was like, "Hey, age of consent, who needs it?" I genuinely feel like he wrote an essay like that, and it's one of
No.
the most controversial things. But
I think he wrote an essay about a woman being raped.
oh
And
yeah,
I think that was
like
it.
rape fantasies. Yeah.
Yeah, rape fantasies. He said it was he says it wasn't serious. So I don't know what the deal with that is, but yeah, that's certainly something I've heard about. But yeah, but by the way though, yeah, I mean we haven't mentioned it so far, but Elio is 17,
Yeah.
Oliver is 24.
It's like it's kind of like Stephen Fry and his boyfriend, boy toy husband.
Yeah, okay, but you are breaking the half your age plus 7 rule.
Yeah,
You know that
exactly.
that rule which is enshrined into relationships. It's the rule I go by. I don't know who said it to me or where I got it from, but I think it's a
Yeah.
good rule. It's like half your age. So Armie Hammer's character Oliver, he's 24, so half his age plus 7, which means the youngest person
19.
he can date is 19. Elio is 17.
Yes, I have heard something
Nonce.
said before that like I think I've heard it said that in a lot of gay culture there's this idea that like there can be a lot more of an age difference because
There's not as many gay people.
Yeah, there are not as many gay
Yeah,
people,
that
so
makes
they
sense.
can't be as
Maybe it's
and
half
yeah,
your
but-
age plus 5 then. I don't know.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and then it's fine. But obviously, I think it kind of, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, from my perspective, to make this not about sexuality, if I had, or I think if most dads or parents in general had a daughter who was 17 and they were bumping uglies with somebody who was 24, they would have some kind of concern, but, whatever. I don't think it was necessarily unbelievable. I just think it would, some people,
Yeah, I mean, the parents are forward thinking, obviously. And so they're like, oh, Elio, he's just exploring his sexuality. That's healthy. But obviously, if they had a teenage daughter who was 17 and she was having sex with Oliver, would they be as okay with it? Which is quite ironic, obviously.
yeah, that is. Yeah, and I think you could wonder. Actually, I do wonder if like one of the things that this film is maybe implying is that like it's an expectation that you can be gay, but that once you're done being gay, you should get married to a woman. The only reason I bring that up is because at the end, Oliver, of course, reveals he's getting married to a woman, I assume. I'm not
Yeah.
sure exactly how clear it is as a woman, but I think it. And everyone's kind of like, oh,
because-
yeah, great, you're getting married to a woman. And also the Michael's character, I forgot his Stolberg's character, it basically says he kind of implies that he had some kind of gay experience or gay interest or curiosity when he was a younger person.
Yeah.
And obviously he's married with children, so I think maybe there's kind of this idea in, I don't know, this particular culture, this particular like family, and I guess the wider culture, because obviously it seems to apply to Michael too. They're like
Michael,
I'm sorry, yeah, I don't know why I said Michael, I meant to say Oliver.
you called him by your name.
Well, it's because I was thinking of Michael Stolberg.
All right.
I promise, Luke.
But you did. You called him by your name.
No, oh yeah, that's clever. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I called him by my name, so yeah, that's the reason why I did it, Luke.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, like maybe that was the thing, particularly in Jewish culture, because I feel like Jewish culture is very traditional, in that like it's kind of like they're on the one hand incredibly liberal in a lot of ways, Jewish people, but on the other hand they're very strict. It's like, hey, do what you want, but don't eat pork. So maybe it's like, hey, be as gay as you like, but you got to get married. Got to give me those grandchildren.
Yeah, okay. I was waiting for the accent, and
I know.
there it is.
Oy vey.
Oh, you got to be careful, Michael. Rachel Riley will be onto you.
Is she Jewish?
I don't think she is, but she likes to. She likes to call out anti-Semitism.
Really?
Yeah, she does it. Here's the thing: I followed her, and I appreciate that what she's doing is important to her, but like it's every fucking day. There's like 5 tweets from her.
Yeah, she must really hate Jeremy Corbyn.
No, yeah, she does.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I think, well, who doesn't?
Yeah. God. Anyway, we should get back to the older.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we said everything
Romance.
to say about plot.
Yeah, we said plot. Do you want to talk about romance? I mean, we discussed it just there a bit, like
Yeah,
the
okay.
age
I mean,
difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
The romance is very. I mean, the thing is, okay, the romance is good in that, like, the way it's presented is good, or it's believable, and obviously it seems real. The problem with it is that it's not enough on its own to carry the film. So that you wouldn't have to change a single thing about the romantic element of the
maybe.
film as long as you had something else going on. I am H.O.
I got a bit of an issue, Michael, with the romance.
Is it that they're gay?
It's like we talked about this for like
Yeah.
50 minutes, and it's like, yeah, they're gay. No, it's okay. So Elio, he tells Oliver that he has feelings for him in town by the World War One memorial,
Yeah.
and I bet all those guys who died in World War One were just thrilled about that.
Yeah. Like, oh, damn gays.
Yeah.
I didn't. Obviously, they sound like that.
Yeah,
because
but in an Italian.
that's what all conservatives sound like.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like those gays.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of funny. And like they were separated by history, Michael. I thought that was going to be a metaphor, but it wasn't, because apparently they didn't have any issues being gay, as we've discussed. But whatever. So those two are obviously having conversation. They realise that they like each other, but like, was there anything else beforehand? Because like Elliot comes out and says, "Oh yeah, I think no." He's like, "Oh, I don't know some stuff," and then Oliver's like, "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" And he's like, "How does Oliver know that Elio has feelings towards him?"
Well,
Because I don't think anything else. There wasn't anything else there. Like, unless I just missed it. Like, they were hanging out, by the pool. But there's nothing unusual about that. They were like playing volleyball. He was playing piano for Oliver, but again, that was just he's a musician, or he's a talented musician. He does that quite regularly, as we see throughout the film. It's like I wish there was something more to spark that off, because it did kind of just seem like it came out of kind of nowhere. It's like, oh right, so Oliver knew that Elio had feelings towards him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we only saw a few minutes of their lives. Maybe there was all sorts of stuff going on behind the scenes.
Well,
Like, maybe every
then?
single time the camera stopped filming them, he'd be like, "Hey, I want to shag you."
That's a great excuse.
Yeah,
Just the
it was just
director.
like, and the director just turned off the camera. He was like, "Oh, guys." I mean, obviously, so it should be said that obviously the fact that Elio is attracted to him is communicated by the fact that he smells his swimming trunks and imagines bumming him.
Yeah, I mean, that's cute and all, but like,
Yeah.
imagine that was flipped around.
See,
He'd be
here's
called
what
a pervert.
here's what I don't get though. Can you really get any kind of sexual, like, I kind of like to assume that my swimming trunks do not smell like anything that could possibly arouse anyone. I mean, and I'm not suggesting that the smell of my penis couldn't arouse someone. I'm just saying that I don't think enough of it would rub off onto my swimming trunks. I mean, basically, you just smell chlorine, right? Like, what if he's just into chlorine now?
Yeah, I don't know, Michael. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's obviously that moment is to show him.
Yeah. So he's got the horn.
Yeah, he's got the horn. He's got desires. But like, if that what if I did think, like, what if that was a girl and he was sniffing her bathing suit?
Have you ever seen The In-Betweeners?
No.
Where Simon,
no, I have. Yeah, but which one? I can't.
It's in The In-Betweeners, the one where Simon's going to lose his virginity, and he's worried that he'll like come.
Oh yeah,
right away.
yeah. He's in the bathroom.
And Jay's like, "Oh, just have a quick power wank."
yeah.
So he starts,
Power wank.
smelling his girlfriend's sister's knickers while masturbating.
Yeah.
Great, and then he can't get his dick up.
That's just an all-time classic scene. just classic. And
Yeah.
and Will's downstairs eating a bonsai tree. just a wonderful episode all around.
I like the bit earlier on where he says, "I'm gonna fuck your fucking fanny off, you twat."
See, you still remember that line, even though, like,
Yeah,
when it came out
years
like,
ago.
yeah, 7 years ago or whatever. I'm gonna fucking fuck your fucking fanny off, you twat. Great stuff.
Anyway, so back to
That's
so yeah,
what
I
Elio
mean,
should have said.
yeah, that would have been hot, especially seeing as in American, fanny means bum.
Exactly, yeah, that's why it works.
Yeah. So basically, what we've learned from this is that it was, well. Let's move on to the characters.
Okay, so we haven't learned anything. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, well, okay. So let's think.
I think the romance, it was good. I have a problem with how it kind of formed. Like, I think it was a bit like out of the blue. But yeah, the chemistry that Armie Hammer and Timothy Chalamet had was really good. And well, it goes into what we said before about the performances. They were both very good performances.
One question: did you know before that reveal that they were going to be gay?
What do you mean?
So I mean, did you know enough about the film before you went into it? Okay, yeah, because me too. I was just thinking, because obviously, like, for example, the thing is, like, subconsciously, because I don't know if I completely agree with you on there not being anything indicating they were gay before, but the problem is, here's
No,
the
there were
problem,
bits
Luke.
and pieces, but it was just...
Yeah, the problem is,
Yeah.
I was looking for the gayness, because I already knew going into this film that it was going to be about being gay, so I was like, okay, well, I'm looking for, like, what's the indication? So I kind of would be interested to know if you, like, showed somebody this film up until, I mean, obviously, I guess you'd have to cut out the, you know, bathing suit masturbation, or not masturbation, bathing suit imaginary bumming scene.
No, yeah, well,
Would they know that they'd be gay?
we get
Or is there anything going
Chalamet
on?
is gay, or he wants to have sex with Oliver, but how do we know that Oliver's gay?
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Well, yeah, I guess it is for...
Yeah, but no, yeah, it's kind of surprising to me that, like, I mean, you know, Oliver was gay, but I guess these things just, you know, happen. So.
Yeah, that's what I mean when coming out of the blue. Like, he's like, so first he knows. Well, obviously, we've seen him sniffing his trunks and going down to try and touch himself when he saw Oliver walking outside his window. But how does Oliver know that Elio did that?
Yeah.
And how does Elio know that Oliver's gay? Or maybe he doesn't. He's just coming out with it and hoping he is gay. And like, where's the indication that Oliver's gay?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Basically, I mean, I guess at best you could say that they were spending like quite a bit of time together, like probably more time than I would often spend with dudes. You know, well, you know how like straight men hate spending time with each other.
Yeah, they just hate
so
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, so obviously if straight men do spend time with each other, it's because they're secretly gay.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so we should get onto the characters now, I think.
Yes.
So, Elio. I don't know about you. Okay, you won't know who this guy is, but he looks a bit like Max Verstappen.
Max Fast Happen. Do
Max
things happen to him
Verstappen.
fast?
He's an
is he
F1 racing driver.
Okay.
Have a look. Do you
To be
think
honest,
he looks...
yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Luke. I don't think he looks that similar to Max Verstappen.
The thing is, like, throughout the movie, I kept on, like, just obviously looking at Timothée Chalamet, you can see the side of his face. It's like, wow, the side of his face is so similar to Max Verstappen. It's because of his nose and his, like, cheeks. And, like,
Yeah.
the, I don't know,
I think
like,
they do have different jaws, though.
yeah, okay, but, like, they
Yeah,
do look
alright.
similar.
Yeah, they look reasonably similar.
Like, it's the nose especially, I think that's the key. The nose and the cheekbones.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Luke, I think some of these are a bit stretched, and I think you're kind of being. I think the thing is, he's got a very skinny nose. That's what I'm noticing about Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. I don't associate that many people with. In fact, if anything, I feel like Timothée Chalamet looks a bit like somebody I knew from uni, whose name was Blue.
That wasn't their actual name, was it?
No, their actual name. This is genuine true. Was Blue Jay.
That's stupid.
I don't know. I'm gonna get him up. Wink.
Yeah, so I'm looking at... Okay, so Timothée Chalamet, he's got a similar nose and, like, brow to Verstappen. Obviously completely different hair. And also similar cheekbones. And from the side, therefore, they do look kind of similar.
Yeah, I think you said just about enough about
just
Mr.
about
Timothée Chalamet.
Anyway, his performance in the movie. Oh, you shared a photo. This is really bad
it's
radio.
It's of my boy Blue Jay.
He actually does look like him, but just an uglier version.
Oh no! Don't tell Blue Jay.
Oh,
you said
I
that.
hope he doesn't listen.
Yeah, to be honest, we're not even friends on Facebook. I just had him in some of my politics classes.
All right.
But, you know, I wasn't about adding people on Facebook just because I knew them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah,
His performance, Chalamet.
yeah, really good performance.
It was.
I mean, he definitely acted like he was feeling the things that he was feeling.
That's great. That's perfect. Okay, so somebody, I can't remember who, or I say can't remember because I copied and pasted the quote, but basically I saw it in the review section in the Wikipedia page and I'm like, yes, this describes my feelings more than I ever could. So Chalamet evokes so many shades of humanity, portraying a path of youthful self-discovery that is more raw, unhinged, and ultimately honest than many actors could manage. I completely agree with that. You
Yes.
know, like the contrast between his pain, like of wanting to understand himself, and like his youthfulness and his innocence. It's just fantastic, and his curiosity like that. It's such a wonderful performance from Timothée Chalamet. And I think it's obviously we haven't seen, well, I haven't anyway seen Darkest Hour. I shall see it soon to review it next week and see Gary Oldman's performance. But damn, this was an incredible performance, and
Yeah.
I think it's gonna have to be an incredible performance to beat this one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So, yeah, like I say, if this film should have won anything, it should have won for Best Actor. And the funny thing is, if it had won for Best Actor, we wouldn't have reviewed it because we don't review what won Best Actor. Because,
No, we do.
Do we?
That's The Darkest Hour.
Oh, sorry, yeah, but are we reviewing it because it won Best Actor?
Yeah.
Okay, I
I
didn't
think
know
that's
that.
the only thing it won.
Okay, I thought our rule was I'm completely wrong. Yeah, I thought our rule was that we didn't do that, but I was clearly wrong, and that's fine. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes we make mistakes.
Well, the
So-
thing is, we're doing
yeah.
best actress as well, which was Frances McDormand in 3 Billboards.
Yes, okay, that makes sense. So I do want to say one thing, which is we've spoken about his really good quality as an actor. I think it's worth talking a bit about the character. And all I want to say about the character is this, that if I were to say I had one problem with this film, it's that I don't think the characters themselves, beyond being people who felt emotions, were that interesting.
Oh,
So like it's kind of so obviously they felt emotions like normal human beings, and the emotions they were feeling were quite engaging because of how intimate they were and sincere and sympathetic and all that kind of stuff. The problem is that I don't really know exactly what I gleaned about any of their personalities. I suppose Oliver had a personality, but I didn't really. I guess they had hobbies, but I didn't really glean much about their characters.
I don't know. Yeah. On to Oliver, by the way.
Yes, Oliver.
This-
that
this-
makes sense.
We were going to talk about visual effects. I mentioned it really at the start. Did you know what I was talking about when I was discussing saying?
You know what? I thought you were talking about the peach scene, so that's quite funny.
Oh,
I thought you
no.
were talking about the visual effects of the cum leaking out of the peach.
Wow. No. Can you imagine if the Academy gave a visual effects award for that?
I can.
I know.
I wouldn't put anything past the
Yeah,
Academy.
good point, actually. They're all sexual deviants
Yeah.
over there.
Also, they gave Leonardo DiCaprio a Best Acting Oscar just for eating a raw kidney or something.
Okay, right. It wasn't just for that. Like, he didn't just show up and sat and eat the raw kidney, and then they just gave him the
That's
Oscar.
the whole film.
I get the point you're
Oh,
making,
yeah.
Michael. But
Yeah,
people
I'm
act
just
like
saying
that
it.
he did that. It was a
Anyway,
decent performance. So yeah,
so yeah, what were you talking of?
the
Maybe I don't
CGI
know.
thing. Yeah. So why this movie should win Best Visual Effects? So apparently, I don't know how they missed this, but Armie Hammer's balls from his shorts were showing, and so they needed to CGI his balls out of shots.
That's silly because hold on a minute, but this film's very sexual. So why can't I see his? Is it because he didn't want to show his balls?
Maybe he didn't want to show his balls.
Yeah,
Maybe
'cause I don't think there's any rule against showing your balls.
maybe the director was like, you know what, it's not a choice that we want to make, and therefore, we're not going to do it. So I'm just going to type in Armie Hammer,
Balls.
call me by your name, balls.
Balls.
Yeah. Here we go. Armie Hammer's balls had to be edited out of Call Me By Your Name. Armie Hammer's response to the situation, which came up in an interview earlier this week, they were shorts. What are you going to do? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, they had to be digitally edited out of Call Me By Your Name. So there you go. That's how did this movie not win Best Visual Effects?
Well, it had to go to editing out Superman's mustache.
Yeah, good point actually. Yeah. Can you
What
imagine?
if, what about this? Okay, this is my thoughts. Okay, what if they edited
I know what you're gonna
Superman's
say,
mustache onto Armie Hammer's balls and Armie Hammer's balls onto Henry Cavill's upper lip?
Oh, you're just sitting in the
Just
in the
swap them over.
in the cinema. Oh, you can tell that one's a what was he called? Josh Whedon. That's it. You
Yeah.
can tell that's a Josh Whedon edit. Why? Well, because he's got balls where his mustache should be. Oh yeah, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, very subtle.
Oh, very
Anyway,
Yeah, so there you go.
so yeah,
that is what I wanted to point out, and it's hilarious.
yes, Oliver sure was charming, wasn't he?
Yeah, imagine you had to do that job though. Imagine that was your job.
Yeah, a ball editor.
Hollywood is so glamorous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what do you say about Oliver? He was charming. He had a nice haircut. And he was just generally, a good guy who
Yeah.
he does. Obviously, he's in love with Timothée Chalamet, but you do have to question perhaps maybe he should have done what he did. The ethical reasons in terms of the age gap, I don't know. That's a bit like.
What if the child consents though?
Well, can children consent?
Luke? What if the child consents?
Oh,
Have you ever think about that, Luke?
no, I didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
you want to stop children from being able to freely choose to have sex.
Yeah.
So maybe you're the real fascist.
I didn't know you were a member of NAMBLA, Michael.
Yeah, I'm gonna NAMBLA.
That's just
NAMBLA on their faces.
That's just the most hilarious name, like NAMBLA, the North American Man Boy Love Association. Like, it's like somebody. It's like a parody. The Man Boy Love Association, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to talk about any more of the characters? The thing is, we've discussed the dad.
Yeah, we've spoken about it a lot.
Yeah.
So I think I mean, considering
we're done. So, Michael, do you want to sum up or shall I sum up?
I'll tell you what. Why don't I sum up?
You sum up first. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, because I very rarely do. So this film was well, let's be honest. It had a lot in it that just made you think, I'm a bit bored right now. And every now and then you go, oh, that's neat, well done. And you could tell that there was some talented stuff going on. But all things told, it wasn't that great. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can like in this in terms of the filmmaking and the general competency on display. But then there's not enough to really keep you invested. And to be honest, I don't know if anyone's going to watch this film multiple times. I certainly have very little interest in doing so. Now, in terms of ranking it, I already mentioned that it is worse than Moonlight. The other film, the film that I rewatched recently, was Manchester by the Sea, because my parents were watching it, and I said, ooh, that's quite a good film. I didn't quite watch all of it, because, I was a bit in and out, but I watched most of it. I watched about 80% of it. And I was thinking, hey, this is really good. And obviously it's not as good as Manchester by the Sea. I mean, really, I don't know exactly where to put it. I think, given the competence of it in terms of filmmaking, I'm gonna bump it up slightly. I don't want to give this some kind of thing, but I think what I'm gonna do is put it just below A Nightmare Before Christmas, and just above Ocean's 13, The Fugitive, Minority Report. I think that seems fair to me.
Okay.
And
yeah, fair enough. Okay, so I'll go then. I think, like I said before, I was disappointed in this movie. It was boring.
Well, you weren't mad. You were disappointed.
Yeah, I was just disappointed. I was expecting conflict. I was expecting some drama, and there was none of it.
You were expecting some hot gay action.
Yeah, I was expecting that as well. Thankfully, we did get that. But the drama, the conflict, tension, there wasn't any. There wasn't any antagonistic forces in this movie. And you can say, well, that's a good thing. It's just a normal romantic movie featuring two gay characters. It doesn't need to be like Brokeback Mountain or Philadelphia. Gay characters can be portrayed in movies, and their sexuality doesn't have to be the source of conflict. But then it does kind of make the movie just a bit boring and just like a standard romantic movie, and it doesn't matter the characters are gay. So, why are we giving this movie so much praise, and why are we saying, this is one of the best movies of the year, and giving it a 10-minute standing ovation at the film festival? Maybe, like I said, if you are gay, you can get something out of this, because of the lack of representation on screen for gay characters in movies. However, this, for me, was nothing special. What was special was all the technical aspects, the cinematography, the setting. That was incredible. The acting was wonderful, and like I said, I think Chalamet probably should have won Best Actor at the Oscars last year.
Unlike Shyamalan.
You know what, Michael? I've got a good pun for Timothy Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet, more like Timothy, shall I be gay? How about that? Wonderful.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why people listen to us. So yeah, overall, disappointed, and I think, you know what? I think just because of the technical aspects of this movie, I'm going to bump it up to a 6 out of 10.
That's exactly what I gave it.
Oh, good stuff.
By my little number ranking. I did want to say a few things, Luke, actually, because I should have mentioned this earlier. So the first thing is, obviously, I got up a list of Oscars, but first of all, seeing as that's more interesting, I'm going to start with this uninteresting thing. I did watch the other film by this director, A Bigger Splash, and all I wanted to say about that film is that it was similarly like one of those films where not that much was happening, except Ralph Fiennes gets drowned in a pool, which is good.
Okay.
And but apart from that, I mean, I didn't rate it that highly. I'd probably rate it slightly higher than this film, but I'm not going to obviously rate it now. Okay, so now we come on to the nominated for best screenplay films. So obviously, Call Me by Your Name won, but here's some other ones. Okay, the first one I want to bring up is Logan.
Yes, Logan.
I think it would have been very. I would have liked it if Logan won, based on the fact that it would be, the first time that a comic book film got, a lot of credit. And you think about it, like there are a lot of, obviously every single comic book film pretty much is an adapted screenplay, because usually it's an adaptation of a specific comic book story.
Yes.
And Logan is of course an adaptation of a specific story arc for the character of Wolverine.
Yes.
And that was a good film, so I think it should have got some, I think it very easily could have won. But the other thing that I think would have won, and I think you'll probably agree with me on this, I know that you were much more disappointed with this film than I was.
The Disaster Artist.
And The Disaster Artist. So I would definitely have given The Disaster Artist the win over Call Me By Your Name. Would I be right in saying you probably would have too? That's a bit of a leading question there.
Well, I would have given, out of the three movies that I haven't seen Molly's Game or Mudbound.
Yeah.
Out of the three movies, Logan, Disaster Artist,
Yeah.
Call Me By Your Name, I would have given it to Logan.
Yeah.
Because I just thought Logan was absolutely fantastic, and although it was a superhero movie, it wasn't really a superhero movie like that. It was so good. I really enjoyed that movie. And The Disaster Artist or Call Me By Your Name, I'll go with The Disaster Artist. I think it's slightly better.
Okay. Well, anyway. And yeah, I don't really know what I'd pick between Disaster Artist and Logan. I think it's basically, for me, my personal opinion, is that I think that with the Academy Awards, it's as much about like what a film means in terms of the wider context of Hollywood, as much as it's about like the quality of, obviously the quality of the film matters, but I think there's an element of like, for example, I do think that, what am I going to say right now? I do think that
Come on, Michael.
Logan. I do think that's it. I do think Logan probably should have won based on the fact that, comic books are adapted. A lot of them are quite good. Comic book films are adapted. A lot of them are quite good. With all of that said, you can now wrap up.
Okay, so there we go. Thank you for listening. We have been selecting and reflecting on Call Me By Your Name because it's the Oscar season, as you just heard. It won Best Adapted Screenplay last year. Join us next week when we will be selecting and reflecting on The Darkest Hour because of the win by Gary Oldman for Best Actor as Winston Churchill in the same Oscars last year. So, who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
And I've been Luke. And join us next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well, there we go.
Okay. Ooh, yeah.